And just to conclude, it does need to be recognized that 35 states, through 147 different members of Congress, objected to the Electoral College results. I'll repeat that. 35 states, via 147 members of Congress, objected to the results of the Electoral College, and it was denied, along with the President of the United States requesting his day and his due process in court, was denied. Just for reality's sake, this is where we're at. This is the elephant in the room. And not to mention 20 years ago, after 9/11 happened, since that time, we have had 3 grand jury demands by a team of 6 lawyers representing 3,200 professional architects and engineers, with over 300 witnesses accompanied in the military, officers of all 4 branches and multiple agencies of intelligence. So clearly, we have a problem, and it's very, 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 very serious. And it's not time for child's play. It's time that we use the greatest strengths that we have and resources that we have. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to be a defeatist in our efforts, but I think we should take the path that stands to achieve the greatest results. If and then we fail, then we might want to consider forming our own court and our own militia and our own justices of the peace and town constables. But right now, I think using the existing system, which does have remedy available, there have been many proven examples of that in very recent contemporary history. Remedy has been found, and that's where I stand. I'm not saying let's give up. I'm not saying abandon the town constable model that Charles has proposed. I would prefer more of calling our court a court of redress, rather than or calling it a Supreme Court of redress. I think would be a more appropriate. When we try to call it something that already exists, we set ourselves up for mockery and failure in the eyes of an ignorant populace. We must remember we're dealing with ignorant sheeple by the millions.
Hey, if I might.
Yes, I yield. Go ahead, Charles. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Michael. Ignorance is exactly our battle, and the phrase court of law is the most powerful position on the chessboard. And with all due respect, Michael, I don't think you comprehend the kind of power that's at our fingertips to invoke meaningful remedy presently. And I think you're taking the long way around when we can go direct to affecting significant change immediately and promptly in the real world here, and the de facto courts that you're advocating that we challenge our remedies, our energies in. I think the vast majority of us on this call recognize that is a bad idea, with all due respect.
Why don't we take
questions, Michael? You got to respond. I yield.
Yeah, I'd like to hear if others feel that way, that the existing courts, if that's a failing path, then why are we entertaining it with Paul's case?
We're not. We're entertaining Paul taking his case before us.
That's not how I understood it. That would be a secondary achievement. The primary goal and pursuit is taking it before the state of Florida and asking our grand jury, petitioning our grand jury to provide a mandamus to the Georgia court for failure to communicate. That's the injury. That's the offense. that we're
if I may.
focusing on? I yield. Go
Lewis.
ahead.
So to answer Mike's question, I would be one that thinks that the common law position is the superior position. I do comprehend completely that it is often ignored. You're talking about by the ignorant populace as well as the de facto administrative courts, which is why I spoke of the double-barreled approach. But I certainly believe that as the populace becomes aware, and there's an education piece involved in that, and all of us on this call, are charged with educating someone, bringing someone aboard. Cliff spoke earlier about active. This is not and Charles, at our earlier conversation before we started, I think the recording, not a spectator sport. So as the populace becomes aware of their power, the sleeping giant, because they are ignorant, and as they become aware of their power and their authority over the de facto, I believe that we will grow. But in the meantime, we need to address issues now. And therefore, I suggest the double-barreled approach, not abandoning any action that's going on in the statutory realm. However, bringing that same action to our common law court. And I believe the Supreme Court of Law is the supreme position. And I've talked about this not only on this call, but I've called on Wayne County and Michigan, how we might also, integrate this body and even create a Supreme Court of Law at the state level. But it takes people. It takes people, and that's where we are. And you and I, Mike, have talked about this before in terms of our numbers. So that's one thing that we actually agree on. Our numbers, we must grow our population, educate our population. Paul has spoken many times before about the duties or rights and obligations of the the business trust organization, the elective franchise. Some still refer to it as a straw man. I like to leave that mystical language out of it and call it exactly what it is. And it's an elective franchise, and we need to take control of that entity and act accordingly. So with that, I would yield.
This is Nikki.
Nikki.
Yes, and I agree with what Lewis just said, but I see it from a different perspective, and that's the systemic approach that you are taking, Charles, and several people on this call, as well as the systematic one that is being, addressed by Michael, right? Yeah.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
All right.